How's it going, peoples? This video is going to be the start of a series about the many fantastic albums that have been birthed this year. There has been no shortage of good music this year. It truly seems like every single week there's a new great record that comes out of nowhere. I wanted to start off with a strange little project I stumbled upon right as it came out in August, Crumbling by Midair Thief. I heard about it in a Rate Your Music thread, and seeing the scores it was getting already, I bought it for a few bucks on Bandcamp, and soon afterwards had my mind blown. This LP is South Korean, so I'll be referring to the songs as they are translated on his Bandcamp page. It also clocks in at 44 minutes across 8 songs. As I've come to understand it, Midair Thief is a dude. The female vocals on his albums come from an artist called Summer Soul. He, according to his Rate Your Music, released 2 EPs on Bandcamp in 2012. I've barely listened to them, so I don't have much to say. In 2015, he released his first album under the name Public Morality, and it was also called Public Morality. This project consisted of the most organic sound choices of his career and is a lot bolder in its vocals than his other stuff. In 2016, he dropped an EP called Forest of Mirrors under yet another name, Shadow Community. I should mention that all of these titles up until his newest album are run through Google Translate, so they are not the official names. And finally, in August 2018, he put out Crumbling under his latest pseudonym, Midair Thief. Practically everywhere I've seen this album being talked about, it has been compared directly to Animal Collective, which I have not listened to very much. This is the first psych-folk album that I've fallen in love with, and my folk album of the year as it stands. It comes down to 2 main reasons, the first of which being the instrumentation, and that's kind of a given seeing as I can't understand the lyrics at all. The 2 main players on here are the guitar and the synth, and the latter is really what ties it all together. Whether it be their first appearance on the opener Why, where they burst into these colorful harmonies in the track, creating that energy that seemed to be stored up since the beginning of the song, or they can be much more subtle, like on the kinda title track Crumbling Together, which features synths as a sparse counter-melody to Mr. Thief's singing. This record is very optimistic sounding, and much of that is due to the use of electronica. It always seems to signal some change in which way the track seems to be going. This is best shown on the final cut, No Answer, that begins with this despondent guitar refrain that evolves throughout the track to become more and more hopeful as it grows more artificial. That brings me to the other reason this album stands out to me, that being its structure of the individual songs. There are almost no choruses to be found on this record. Instead, they opt for a slow build-up throughout the song until it reaches a boil, where at that point it usually shifts to a short-lived bridge between songs. Such as after the opener or towards the end of Protector, which comes in with a beautiful cello part which succeeds in being captivating while also fitting into the song's sound and rhythm, even if it crumbles shortly after. In fact, this album hardly ever maintains a sound for the entirety of a song. It's willing to leave the catchiest part of a song unrepeated and move on to the next amazing moment. Take the song Curve and Light, which I think perfectly encapsulates the looseness that this album pulls off. It begins super vibrant and more poppy than anywhere else on the album, but then, about a minute in, it dissolves into a slower, more melancholic ballad that has Summer Soul and Midair Thief's vocals fading in and out of each other, ending with a very emotional yet focused synth part, which the song rides out on. However, this looseness doesn't only apply to the songwriting. The production of most of these songs comes off as lo-fi, and most of the time it adds to the charm. However, at certain moments, like on Game Un Deut, sorry if I butchered that, it can sound more rough and dirty than it should, which sort of neuters the contentment of the song and takes away some of the discernible emotion. But on most tracks, this is not a problem, like on Ah, These Chains, that begins with these quiet, feathery vocals over these slinky guitar parts. At a certain point in the song, once the synths come in, almost get swallowed up by this extended instrumental part. Talking about how the album flows together as a whole, the songs often fade out to let the next song slowly fade in, creating this very ethereal atmosphere. That works in tandem with the many layers presented. Look at the song Dirt, which starts very stripped back and skeletal, with not much more than Thief's intimate crooning over guitar. But after a little while, more instruments and sounds start being introduced, such as what sounds like some horns, that causes the track to crescendo and then suddenly vanish. After the song comes back, it repeats the process of building up and then vanishing 2 more times, accompanied by more and more sounds. A couple other miscellaneous things. This album sounds a lot more bassy when I listen to it in a car or in speakers, more so than any other folk album I put on. And the record seems to get more bittersweet and long-winded towards the very end, as opposed to the slightly more pop-influenced first half. And overall, there isn't much to not love about it. I'd say check it out on Bandcamp. It's $6 on there, and it's worth every penny. Also, I stumbled upon the fact that this album is being released on CD in Japan on December 4th of this year. According to the Google translated description on the Amazon JP page, it says the last song has a hidden track in it. And hidden tracks are basically, it has the closing song, and it has like 5 minutes of silence built into the track, and then it has another song. So Beach House did that on one of their albums. Needless to say, I'm gonna get my hands on this CD one way or another. Join me next time for Avantdale Bowling Club, another fairly under-the-radar release of the jazz rap variety. Ooh, get ready for that. Bye.